Hey, what's up YouTube? Cameron here for DBankers today with another video, and today we're going to be talking about player preference. But first off, what is player preference? Player preference is anything that you prefer to run in your deck, or just a deck that you prefer in general, or a playstyle you prefer. Like I myself, I prefer stun or stun control. I'm a very controlling player. I like to determine what my opponent's going to do through my cards I play on the field. So I tend to play cards such as Skill Drain, D-Prisons, and Compulsories, and Starlight. I play a lot of heavy back rows in my deck, and a lot of floaters. I'm a stun player. I'm a control player. So that's why I've played decks such as Gravekeepers. I used to play a Skill Drain deck back in the day. I've played a lot of stuff like that. And I've come to define that that's the playstyle I like to play. And the decks I like to play through, my Yu-Gi-Oh career, I guess you could say. Even though it's not really a career, but, whatever. You get where I'm going with this. So that's what player preference is. But the things that I want to bring up to you guys is you don't have to, play expensive decks. You don't have to play decks like Dino Rabbit, because everybody thinks you need to play a deck that tops every YCS. I want to tell you something, guys. The reason Dino Rabbit hasn't won a YCS in the United States yet is because everybody knows what the deck does. It's so easily predictable. It's one of the most autopilot decks in the world. It's like I said, it's very easy to predict. You know what your opponent's going to do. Which, when you know something like that, it's a lot easier to set up on your opponent. It's like you know that your opponent's going to play Dino Rabbit. You know your opponent is going to play Rescue Rabbit next turn. Okay, you set Bottomless. Or you know your opponent's going to play Tour God, get out the Rabbit, and do shenanigans. So you set the Bottomless. You know they're going to overlay. You set the Compulsory. You know they're going to go into Tour God. You set the Chain Disappearance. They're easy to predict. And that's why they haven't won a YCS yet. Because people know how to play against the deck. The same goes for windups. If windups don't get their hand loop off, they lose. If windups get their hand loop off and it doesn't hurt you, they lose. Windups are easy to predict as well. You know how to play around them. With cards such as Cyber Dragon. Your opponent gets out of Zen Mighties, next turn you top deck Cyber Dragon, special summon it, go into Chimera Tech, they lose. It's a very hard, they might not lose, but they're not going to be able to come back from that very easily. See, decks like that are so predictable. Injectors are probably the only ones out of that even take skill. And even so, Injectors are also extremely autopilot. It's also easy to predict them. And Chain Disappearance is another great card that works very well against Injectors. Play Chain Disappearance on Dragonfly, your opponent's going to have a hard time setting up from that. Dragonfly is a key card in that deck. You get rid of it, you win. Well, not necessarily all the time. But it's going to make it very easy for you to set up and win. I should probably rephrase that. Anyway, you get where I'm going with this. If you're playing a deck that's easy to set up on, you're going to lose. So decks like that, that's the reason why they haven't won YCSs yet. Because they're easy to predict. And everybody knows that people are going to be playing it. So they play against them. Which is why Dark World won the last YCS. Because the guy knew that Dark World was going to be a better matchup for decks such as Dino Rabbit. Because Dino Rabbit decks can't run over stuff like Grandpa. So, that being said, hopefully that'll better teach you guys what player preference is. It's not always about what you prefer. It's sometimes just judging the meta a lot better than other people are going to. Knowledge and player preference go hand in hand. And one of the best examples would be the Dark World deck that won the last YCS. The guy put preference and knowledge into his deck. He preferred to run speedy decks, so he put Reckless Greeds and Upstarts in his deck. Like, I prefer to run stun. And so, if I'm not playing a stun deck, I'm going to put Thunder Kings in it or something like that, because that's what I prefer. It's about what you prefer, guys. You don't have to play the money decks. Play what you like. And personally, I like playing road decks a lot better than top tier decks, because people don't know how to play against decks like that, and they don't have their side deck based around those kind of decks. And generally, when you play a road deck, they're geared toward against the meta, which gives you a lot better chance to win. When your opponent doesn't know what you're playing with, you instantly have an advantage over them. What I'm trying to get at, guys, is just play with what you like. Don't play with a deck because it wins. If you like playing with decks that win, go for it. That's what you prefer. I personally don't like that. I like to have skill in my decks. That's why I generally play decks that take a lot of combos. Given my TG Agent deck wasn't a very skillful deck. But you can't say TG Agents are easier to play than regular Aegis Samurai Torgal. You can't say that, because they aren't. But yeah, guys, that's going to be it for this video. I want you guys to give me your opinions on player preference. What do you think about it? What do you guys like to play? Do you like to play Rogue or do you like to play Meta? Let me know in the comment section below, and I'll catch you guys later.